Hey guys, welcome to another episode of the Autumn Windbags. RJ Clifford, let's have some fun today. So, today we're going to talk about Jim Harbaugh being the odds on favorite to be the next coach of the Las Vegas Raiders. But what does it mean exactly to be the odds on favorite? Is that because he's most likely going there, or that's because that's the narrative that Jim Harbaugh wants everyone to believe? As always, make sure to like, comment, subscribe to this YouTube channel. A lot of great stuff coming up in this off season. Make sure you are here and subscribing so you don't miss a single second of it. As of the recording of this right now, Rich Bisaccia is the head coach of the Las Vegas Raiders. Interim coach hasn't been fired yet. Mike Mayock has. We'll see if the new GM has any part of the process of getting the new head coach picked, or if it's going to be all Mark Davis and who he's going to hire or fire first. That's still all yet to be seen. So why is Jim Harbaugh the odds-on favorite? Well, he is quite literally, according to the odds, the favorite. Sportsbetting.ag tweeted this out last night, January 17th, that Jim Harbaugh is a 2-1 favorite to be the next head coach of the Las Vegas Raiders, followed behind Rich Bisaccia, Doug Peterson, the Steelers' Mike Tomlin, Clemson's Dabo Swinney. Remember, we saw Dabo Swinney at a game, decked out in Raiders gear. Byron Leftwich, all the way down to Lane Kiffin as 100-1 odds to be the next coach of the Las Vegas Raiders. So here's something interesting. Normally, when betting sites put out the odds for something, that has the highest stakes. Because unlike someone talking about what may happen in a game or who may be a coach somewhere else, when there's actual money on the line, it means more. Because if they're wrong, it's going to cost them money. But here's the kicker. If you go to sportsbetting.ag now, less than 24 hours later, those odds aren't posted anywhere. You can't find them. They tweeted them out last night, and less than 24 hours later, you can't actually make a bet on who's going to be the next head coach of the Las Vegas Raiders. Why is that? Here's an idea. Sports betting sites like to post odds that are going to get people talking and get them drawn to their website. It's free advertising, it's free marketing, and quite honestly, it's pretty brilliant. Say something that's going to get people talking and drive them to your website. But I don't think sportsbetting.ag really truly wants people betting on who's going to be the next coach. I think they just wanted the attention. And it worked. So how did we get here? Jim Harbaugh being front and center as the next coach of the Las Vegas Raiders. The big boost came January 5th when Bruce Feldman of The Athletic wrote an article saying that he has sources suggesting that Jim Harbaugh to the NFL may actually be real. The Athletic is hearing rumblings from both the NFL side and at Michigan that Harbaugh might be tempted to leave the Wolverines to return to the NFL. I think it's real, said one source this week when asked about the possibility of Harbaugh being interested in heading back to the NFL. So what does this actually mean? Well, one source who remains nameless isn't the strongest source. That doesn't mean we completely ignore it, but it's a lot different than saying 2 or 3 sources, here are their names, here's the relation to Jim Harbaugh, all say he could go to the NFL. 2 very different situations. But what this does do is what I think it was meant to do. Get people talking about Jim Harbaugh to the NFL and get, most importantly, the University of Michigan to think that Jim Harbaugh can go to the NFL. Now, why would Jim Harbaugh, the coach at the University of Michigan, want Michigan to think he could leave? The answer is obvious. Money. During the COVID season, Jim Harbaugh and the University of Michigan went 2-4. Terrible season, and he was paid $8 million base salary for that season. Fast forward to this last season, and Jim Harbaugh had one of the best seasons in a decade for the University of Michigan. They won the Big Ten and made it to the college football playoffs. And maybe most importantly, they beat their arch rival, Ohio State. Now, you have to go all the way back to 2011 for the last time that Michigan beat the Ohio State Buckeyes. They won that game 40-37 in Ann Arbor. Ever since then, Ohio State has owned the University of Michigan, winning 8 straight seasons until this last November in 2021 when Michigan put a thumping on the Buckeyes 45-27. So now, you're Jim Harbaugh. You're coming off one of the best seasons in the University of Michigan in over a decade. You beat your arch rival. You went to the playoff. And you remember that last season, nobody wanted you. The University of Michigan gave you a pay cut. Who takes a pay cut? Nobody takes pay cuts, whether it's in coaching, other professions, janitor, carpenter, salesman, truck driver. Nobody takes pay cuts. It's rarely ever offered. You normally just get fired or you quit. But Jim Harbaugh took a $4 million pay cut. I know, don't cry for Jim Harbaugh. He still made $4 million. The guy's not eating cup of noodle or raw beans out of a can. He's doing fine. But the point still remains. He remembers taking that giant pay cut, and now he wants to get paid. What's the best way to get paid? To show everybody around you that you are a highly sought after free agent. When you're negotiating for anything, whether it be a raise at your job, whether it be dating, whether it be anything, you always want your counterpart to know that you have a lot of options. If you're at a negotiation table and the person across from you knows that you only have one option, it's either take it or leave it, they're going to lowball you. But if you go into a negotiation with all of these options, then you can demand a lot more. And Jim Harbaugh has done a very good job of making sure it looks like he has all kind of options. Now, here's two more reports that add to this story. Tom Loy of 24/7 tweeted out on January 13th. Breaking news, Notre Dame defensive line coach Mike Elston is expected to leave South Bend for the same position at Michigan under Jim Harbaugh. So this doesn't mean for sure that Jim Harbaugh is staying. But it is interesting to note, why would Jim Harbaugh hire a new defensive line coach and take him away from a very good job at Notre Dame and have him move multiple states over and go to Ann Arbor? Mike Elston, I don't think would make that move unless he was pretty confident that Jim Harbaugh was staying at the University of Michigan. Again, it's not definitive proof either way, but it's one of those pieces of evidence that leads me to believe that the people around Jim Harbaugh think that he's staying at the University of Michigan, one of them being Mike Elston. Here's another report from Nick Baumgardner, who covers the University of Michigan for The Athletic. He tweeted on January 17th. So it's my understanding Michigan and Jim Harbaugh have had productive talks on a new deal / competitive offer package has been made. At this point, it's all about what Harbaugh wants to do. Michigan, as I understand it, welcomes Jim Harbaugh at University of Michigan, but some at Michigan wonder if he's torn about the NFL. So all these different pieces of information add to this story. So here's where we're at right now. Jim Harbaugh is coming off one of the best seasons recently in the University of Michigan, fresh off of a pay cut. We know he wants to get paid. January 5th, there was a report that from a source that Jim Harbaugh may want to return to the NFL. Another report is that a defensive lineman, and it's already been, not a report, but a confirmed move, is that a defensive lineman coach at Notre Dame has now gone to the University of Michigan. And another report yesterday that there's been productive talks between Jim Harbaugh and the University of Michigan. So where does that leave us now? Again, I'm not saying that Jim Harbaugh is for sure staying at the University of Michigan. I'm not saying he's for sure going to be the next coach of the Las Vegas Raiders. I'm not saying for sure that he's going to go to the NFL at all. But what I do know is this. He has set the table perfectly to give himself as many options as possible and the best package deal that he could get. My gut tells me that Jim Harbaugh already knows what he wants to do, whether it's stay at Michigan, go to the Raiders, or go to another NFL team. I think he already knows what he wants to do, but he's trying to set himself up to have as much leverage as possible when he goes to the negotiation table with wherever he wants to go. So again, I don't know where Jim Harbaugh is going to coach next season. I just know that he's done a masterful job in convincing everybody around him that he could go anywhere and everybody wants him. Whatever he makes next season and wherever he lands, he deserves every single cent of it with how he was able to rule the narrative on his own this offseason. Props to Jim Harbaugh. You played us all.